Powering off. Powering on. Mic on. Charging battery. Mic off. Mic on.
Test. Test, test, test. Oh, you should be hearing me now. Test. Test, test, test. Oh, you should be hearing me now. Test. All right. So, hello and welcome today or tonight. We're gonna build a gaming PC. Now, usually this channel is not directed to building PCs or something like that. It's usually we do racing and action, but due to local circumstances, we're gonna do this because it's interesting to people to to see how a gaming PC is actually built. And this build right here, we have interesting stuff that's going to be put together as an esport-oriented PC. So let's get on with it, and we will start by talking a little bit of how you plan usually to build a PC to start with, from like which parts you should start with and how your mindset should go. So I'll start by saying that for an esport oriented PC, you don't need much. Usually, you start by deciding what type of processor you're gonna use, and based on that, you pretty much build the whole thing. Now, on the market today, something similar to this, an i5, a 10400, LGA 1200 socket is more than enough for everything esport oriented. Or if you fancy to get similar processor but without an APU inside, is usually the 10400F. We're not going to use that tonight. We're going to use something else. And you can also go for the usual i7, like the 10700F, like this one. We're upping up the amount of cores and the boost coming from the processor itself. Or what a fan favorite usually, it's an i9, like 10850K, which I built something from before. It's a very good processor. This is usually used for workstations and not for gaming, but you can use it for gaming as well. It's an overkill considered for gaming, but yeah, heck, in this region, everyone wants the best that's out there. Or you can use like an i9, a previous i9, like the one I've been using on both of my PCs, and I'm using it right now on the PC that we're streaming on. Like this Core i9 9900K comes with this fancy box. I have two systems running these, so it's not bad for a processor like this one. But we are not gonna use any of these tonight. We're gonna use the latest and greatest, the pretty much an overkill for a PC. Okay, Lemma, we're hearing me. Jafar is hearing me. Thank you, guys. So we're gonna be building using an i9 11th gen processor. This is the 11900K. So let's talk a little bit about its specs before we pry it open, and we let you know what's the most expensive part in a gaming PC is like. And for that, we will go to the page, and for that we will show you an 11 or 10900 or 11. What the heck? We need the 1200K, a 1200 or 1100K, 11900K. The 11900K processor is 3.5 gigahertz and 16 megabyte caches. So it's an 11 gen processor. It was produced in the Q1 of 2021, so it's a recent processor. It's 14 nanometers, and it's composed of 8 cores and 16 threads. It's capable of a base clock of 3.5 gigahertz and can be boosted to 5.3, and with 16 megabytes of cache. So therefore, you only have to look at these variants before deciding what type of processor you need for your own build. In our case, we're going to be using this 11900K. Therefore, let's pry it open and see how it looks like. We're going to use a Sharpie. Usually, people don't understand, don't realize that a PC is all about processor power. And you build a PC based on the processor at first before doing anything else. Now, it's always with these boxes that you have to like find out how to pry them open. All right, it's like a it's obvious. You have to like click 2 buttons in here, and that's it. And this is how it's presented. So you pay around $600 for this part. It depends on where you are in the world. It's like retailed around 500 or something like that. And for that you get this small thing. This does pretty much everything of a PC. All the computing power and everything comes in this plastic protecting box or a small packet. Okay, let's remove all this mess from here. So this is the processor that we will be using, but in order to use the processor, we have to couple it with a motherboard. Now, before I even start, I have to say some precautions that we have to take care of when building a PC. Among these precautions is anti-static, and for that we use a rubber band like this one. And this has the connection to your wrist, for example. You can put it on your wrist. You have to connect it to anywhere where you will be grounded, basically. My table is wooden base, so it'll be grounded, and I'll put it on right now. So as long as I have a good connection, we should be ready to tackle all the other parts, including the most important thing. Next most important thing is the motherboard, and that's why we need to be fully secured. The motherboard. Now this is the first MSI part. This is the Z590 MPG Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, and let me, before we pry it open, let me let you know why we chose this. This is an entry level into the gaming scene. It's not bad at all from its features. We will look at it in a second. This is the Wi-Fi version as well, so you can, if you have this gaming PC that's very large, you can even connect to the internet via Wi-Fi using this motherboard. So it's a 1200 socket, and it will accommodate our i9 pretty nicely. Therefore, let's go ahead and look at the specs for this motherboard. We will go on our website, of course, of MSI again. Now, the Z590 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, as you can see, this is how it will look like. This is where the processor will go. This is a heatsink for all the VRMs, and you can, as you can see, it does have a pretty nice cooling features. All these cooling bits is on sides of where the M.2 goes. The plenty of heat pipes, so it's pretty much secured when it comes to heating, and gives it an enhanced performance. As it can accommodate RAMs up to like 5,333 megahertz. We're not going to use that speeds, of course. That's ridiculous. We're going to use like 3,200. 3200 megahertz. You can see the rear I/O is fully rich with USBs. There's even an onboard display port, an onboard HDMI, a high-end sound, and everything. I'm not sponsored by MSI by no means, but we will see a lot of parts in here that's MSI related. So basically, let's pry it open and see how it looks like. All right. What we get in the box is the following. A box in a box. What is that about? What's this? Okay. Okay, what we get here is the couples of antennas for the Wi-Fi. Keep them as they are. What else do we get? The motherboard itself. It's in this protective plastic bag, which so many of people like build on top of it. Don't do that because this is like a magnet for electrostatic stuff. So before we remove it from its bag, let's check out what's in the box as well. You get an MSI sticker that you can proudly place on your PC, as well as some MSI related stickers. Look at that. Nice. This is nice. That's if you have plenty of cables from the back, you can actually use these colors in order to like code these cables whenever you're doing maintenance or something at the back of the PC. You get a RGB wire. This is the 12 volt RGB wire, and that's for that you get these wires with the head that has these 4 pins. What else do we get in here? That's the addressable RGB extension. We will be using this. And also some SATA for the hard drives. One of them is 90 degrees, the other is straight. What else do we get in here? Some flyers from MSI, maybe discount codes. We should have like grayed out this bit, but yeah. An installation guide, which nobody reads. A standoff for the M.2 drive, which we will be using. And the most important bit is this, a manual. So basically that's it. We have something else in here. What is that about? That's a USB drive. Not bad. And look at that. Some Phillips screws and flathead screw in a keychain. Yeah. Why not? So that's what you get in the box. Let's now open up the most important bit, which is the motherboard. Here we go. Don't do like Linus and throw it away. So if you do have questions up until now, please feel free to ask me. Hello, Michelle. So, motherboard. All right. We can put it here. I have the anti-static stuff underneath it, so we're fine. And here's our beautiful motherboard. Now the motherboard is what connects everything together. Like the processor will go in here. We have the RAMs that will go in there. We have an M.2 slot that will be the storage boot drive of this PC. And what else? We have the SATA headers. So pretty much is like if you're looking at the motherboard not knowing what you're looking at, the best bit is to open up the manual basically and look at the page where it says everything, like what each pin does. And that's on page 28 in this manual. Now you're not gonna see it on the camera, but I have prepared it on the website. What you will be seeing is this. So basically, this is where the CPU goes. That's the processor socket, and these will be the CPU power headers. 2 8-pin headers. Nowadays they usually used to come in like 4-pin before, way in the old days, or 8 pins, but nowadays it comes with like dual 8 pins for overclocking purposes. This is the header for CPU fan, will be important because we will link that. What else? We will use dual channel memory, which means we will populate this DIMM right here and the final DIMM that's right here. We will neglect the first one and the third one. That's the best practice. The PCIe is what we will hold our graphics card, and this is where the M.2 will go. We will also use the SATA 1 port, which is the one at the bottom. We will also use the front panel header, which is here. What else? The audio a USB 2 header, and a USB 3 header. And I don't think our case is gonna be USB-C compatible, so we're not gonna use the USB-C header for now. All right, so enough rambling. Let's go back and show you how we install the processor. Now remember, this is the processor. I'm gonna open it up. Be very careful when you're dealing with such thing. Try to hold it from the sides. It's a 11900K. It says here. I'll be close. I don't know if it focuses from the light. All right. We have to place it in the socket. So all you have to do is the following. You pry this on the right a little bit, and you lift off the socket. Now I'm gonna do it on while down, because there's very delicate pins underneath, and you don't want to bend any of these pins. Now one of the sides, which is the bottom left side, has this white dot that you can see on the motherboard. Also on the bottom left side of the processor I can see an arrow, so I have to like match these together. So I simply drop it there, be very gentle, and that's it. Wiggle it around. You see that it's sitting there. Be very gentle with that, because you can easily bend the pins. Hold this down and try to get this back. The plastic cover will pop up whenever I do that. Here we go. And that's it. You can keep this for later if in case you need to RMA the motherboard or something. RMA means sending it back to the manufacturer, basically. All right. Test. Can you hear me now? I think you can now. All right. Yep. 100%. All right. So I don't know, where did you lose me at first? It was my mistake that I didn't notice that the audio was gone. All right. What we did up until now is that we pretty much installed the processor, and we went delicately with it, and we installed the processor in here. As you can see, it's sitting tight, and we're opting to like install the RAMs and maybe the M.2 drive. So let's go ahead and do it. We're gonna use the 32 gigabytes to 16 gigabyte 3200 megahertz RAMs. I'm gonna open them up. Open the box. Here we go. So that's the first DIMM. Now, for RAM, it's pretty simple. You have to match this notch that's in here with the one on the motherboard, and it only goes one way, so you're not gonna do it wrong. But as you remember, I said in a dual channel format, we're gonna use the second one and the last one. This is the optimal way of doing a dual channel memory installation. There's these notches on the sides. Just pry open. I just opened them. I usually know that this sticker goes on the left and the brand goes on the right. That's how I usually do it. And here we go. You just installed it in the two slots, but that's not it. You will have to push it from both sides up until you hear that satisfying click. Here we go. And that's it. Installed. Let's take the second one. Yeah, who said building a computer is complicated? It's only complicated for people who don't read or attempt to do it, but it's fun. It's like doing a big puzzle. Second DIMM. Who attempted to build his own PC for the first time? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so we're gonna use the last channel here. Same old, same old. So putting in the notches and just pressing it from both sides. All right, did it go through? Yes, it did. All right, both of them are fully secured in. Next, we're gonna install the M.2 drive, and for that, we're gonna use an NVMe M.2 drive from HP. This is a 500 gigahertz NVMe M.2 drive SSD. An EX900 is the model. Not bad. I've used one before and it's fantastic. So technology progressed a lot, and nowadays the huge mechanical drives are now obsolete. You can use one of these and it'll do wonders in write speed and read speeds as well. I tend to usually use an M.2 drive whenever I'm doing a gaming build, because actually some people says it's gonna enhance the loading times, especially if you have the games on it. But I like to use it whenever I have a nice PC build. So I would have the startup from the PC from idle to pretty much from cold to idle is quick, very quick. So you have like 2 seconds, you turn on the PC and it's on already. The speed is mega compared to the mechanical drives. All right, here we go. Open. We're gonna need to clean up the. Oh, there's a screw in here. Also, don't lose that. I'm gonna put it here. Here we go. This thing. Look at that. So thin. So thin. This is a hard drive, believe it or not. I only know how to unassemble a PC. Well, if you unassemble it in any shape or form, you're pretty much like doing it in backwards. So yeah, you've learned half of it by then. All right. So um, in order to put on the M.2 drive, we're gonna use a small Phillips head. I have this that takes so many heads, so many different heads. All right, here we go. Unscrew this bit in here as well. Or why do we put it down here? Okay, let's use the main M.2, which is the one up here. All right, there's 2 screws. Quite simple. Don't lose the screws. Can easily do that. All right, lift it up. Here we go. So this enables M.2 with 11th gen Intel Core processors, i5 and above. That's what's written on the sticker. I'm not inventing this, it's written on the sticker. We have an 11th gen, so we will be able to use this, and we don't need that information anymore. Just pew, toss it away. All right, there's a heatsink underneath, like a heatsink thermal pad, we call it. We're gonna remove the sticker on top, and we're gonna use it. So we have to remember that before putting it back in. Now, as you can see, this will easily let you see where the M.2 drives goes. It goes in here, and we might use this standoff on this side in order to accommodate for the back of it. That's easy. We can remove that in our hands, bare hands. No, we're gonna use it for the screw anyway. So here's the M.2. The way to put it in is simple. You simply have to put it this way. There's this small notch. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. And there's another plastic notch on the motherboard. You just put it in like that, and you pull it down. Now this way you know where the standoff should be. Remember, from the motherboard itself, we had a small standoff that I said we're gonna use. This one. We're gonna use that in the place where the M.2 should be sitting. I made a mess, obviously. Don't clip that. Anyway, so that's the screw, and we need the standoff. Okay, here's the standoff. Gonna place it where it should go. Can hand tight it, and we're gonna use the same screw that came in the bag itself. So here we go. M.2 back in. I cannot see it. Okay, here we go. It's not easy to build anything on camera, basically, because you cannot like look around like you do usually when you're building it by yourself. All right. So screw with confidence, as someone previously said. That's what she said. All right. Screw it in, and here we go. M.2 is secured in. That's what we will be installing Windows on, basically. So this PC will boot from here. Let me reload this so I don't miss any comments, if there is any. Okay, you still can hear me, right? Good. All right. So we will remove this from here. And line it up with the screws. And screw it back in. Simple as that. Now this one is not lined up. Now it is. Yep, here we go. That's in. All right, up until now we have a motherboard, a processor, RAMs, and a storage system all in one. So what's next? Next would be to cool down this processor because it runs very hot and you have to make sure it is cooled down. Let's see, what do we have in order to cool it down? In order to cool it down, we're gonna use a 360 millimeter radiator, all-in-one liquid cooling radiator, similar to what you would find in a car. And by the way, I didn't show you the rear I/O of this motherboard. Look at that. Comes with plenty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 USB ports, 1 USB-C, 2 headers for the Wi-Fi, all types of audio enhancement and surround, as well as the DisplayPort on board and the HDMI on board, as well as a flash BIOS button. It's so small, it's in here. Yeah, it's feature rich, this one. All right. So let's look at what we're going to use in terms of cooling. And for that, I'm gonna take you back to a website. Now we're gonna use the MAG core liquid cooler from MSI again. This is a 360 millimeter. It's called 360R. So conquer the battlefield, as they say. This is how it would look like with the pump on top of the processor. You can even rotate the top of the processor or the pump, so the logo would line up like that. Look at that. Yeah, that's what we will be doing. Evaporation proof tubing. All right, so this is what we're dealing with. All right, let me show you how the CPU cooler looks like, but before we can do that, we have to clean up the mess we already created. When building a PC, things get out of hand and very, how to say, unorganized quickly. Therefore, make sure you clean up the space that you're working on from time to time. That's what we just did. All right. Let's put that out of the way. Grab this beast. Now, this is the MSI MAG Core Liquid 360R liquid cooler. That's some nice RGB on top, but sadly we're not going to use the same fans that comes with it because you will find out next that the case we're going to use has different type of RGB fans, so we're gonna keep the unified RGB fan colors instead of creating different ones. So just gonna open it up. All right, I think this opens from this side. Nope, doesn't. All right, I was right from the beginning, huh? Come on. Just so it. Don't laugh at me. As if I never did it before. It's just that whenever there's camera, things go weird. Here we go. Okay, so what do we get here? 3 fans, 3 RGB fans. Let's put them on the side. A box or a bag containing all the necessary tools, because you can mount this. It comes with thermal pad as well. So you can mount this on not just an Intel-based system like the one we're using. You can put it on an AMD one. What else? And that's about it. So we'll put the bag on the side. And now lift it up. And here we go. Radiator. What else? Nothing. And off you go. All right, the radiator. That's a 360 millimeter radiator. This is the pump combo. It does not come with pre-applied thermal paste. I'm surprised. Usually other brands do so. But it does have a heat sensor, which is fantastic. And it also comes with this. You see that small knob in here? Yeah, now that's new. That's something that's not available on every single 360 millimeter cooler. And the braided cables are very nice. Now what this allows you to do is that pretty much this cools down the processor while getting air sucked into these vents, and the all-in-one liquid cooler is that the liquid is actually rotating. There's a pump in this one that's rotating the coolant in. So you would imagine after 2 years of use, that coolant will basically disappear from evaporation. Now these slick tubings will prevent the evaporation from happening. But also, if you run into some overheating troubles, you can simply pour in some coolant water, but you have to speak with MSI first to know which type of coolant. Maybe they do have their own. This is the rotating part of the pump. Yeah, it rotates nicely. Yeah. So we're gonna put this on, because there's one thing that we should do before we even consider dropping this PC or this build into the case, is to try and make a test boot outside the boxes, and for that we need to cool it down. So we're gonna try to hook up the cooler. All right, so it's all right. Here we go. All right. So if you do have any question by now, let's address them. Let's find out the backplate that we need to use. I think this is the one, because it looks like, yeah, that's AMD. I can see it, but that's just from pure experience. Or wait a second, that's the LGA. Oh, that's Intel. It says Intel on it. Right, we'll use this one. That's on top. Okay. We will need the thermal paste. Obviously, we will need the bolts. There's two types of bolts. A noise reducing cable. Hey, Mohammed. Hello, Doc. How do you like it so far? This is a Y cable. This allows you to hook up to 3 fans. And we have 3 fans in here, so we'll be using it. What else? Fan to Molex. Who uses Molex anymore? I don't know. Some long screws for the pass-through for the fans. Okay, we're gonna need this. A third type of screw. And brackets. Extra brackets. So that's what's in the bag. And for that we need some kind of manual to tell us which one to use for Intel. There's no manual inside here. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Intel CPU. Yeah. Intel CPU. So we're gonna use this. All right. We're gonna use this. What else? Spacers. What's the backplate is going to be? All right. Okay, I think I know what to do. It's similar to most of the other. We need this back to install the backplate. Let's put them on the side. And here we go. Don't need this. We need these, this, that. So a few spacers and plastic washers. Now this is usually complicated because every single cooler is different. One day they will unify how each look like and work like, but for now we need to look at manuals. So this will go on the back, while this go on the front. In between them, there will be these long screws and some plastic washers to hand them tightly, as well as some plastic spacers to make sure the elevation of the block is leveled with the processor. And we will basically apply thermal paste. So let's go ahead and install the screws on this plate. So bear with me. This will take a little bit of time. Yeah, if you're bored by now, I wouldn't be surprised. This is what we go through whenever we build PC. That's normal. The lonely life of a PC builder. All right. Third in. Like 3 screws in. Fourth one is in. screw with confidence. All right, we need 4 washers for that. So this way the screw will hold in place because of the washer. And washers are in. All right, so pretty much that's what we're looking for. Lift up the motherboard. There's like 4 holes, one here, one there, one here, and another one here. So basically these standoffs should go like that. Okay, it's the smaller part then. Instead of putting them on the extremities, we will have to put them on the lower side. I should have checked that before. Yeah, but who cares? Plenty of time. In the meantime, while I'm doing this tedious stuff, if you have anything to ask, be my guest. All right. So still putting the back plate in. That design is tedious. With these small washers, I've seen like poor ones do that, but yeah. One more. Don't lose the plastic washer. Here we go. All right. Attempt number 2. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. And here we go. You can see now how the 4 standoffs are here on the sides. Place it in. Spacer in on 4 sides. Now that's the spacer that we're using. A small plastic spacer. All right. Now, preparing this. It's a matter of installing this through the slide like that, and it clicks in. Remove remember to remove this all the time. If I've seen a build before, someone sent me his PC saying, "Hey Jamal, I have my PC with overheating issues, a lot of overheating issues, and even though I'm using a nice cooler, what do you think is wrong with it?" Said either change the thermal paste or you did something wrong. So he sent it to me because he was afraid of doing anything to it. And guess what? I found out that he did not remove that plastic cover from here. So all this time he was like boiling his CPU hot. So remove that. Don't forget about it. It actually says remove. It says remove before use. Okay. Now, the orientation that we're
Charging
gonna.
battery.
Oh, really? We're gonna use our CPU cooler this way. So it'll be like that in the case. It'll be on the side. Let me show you how it will look like in the case itself. In the case itself, we're gonna be using this Aquarius case, and it's going to be in white. Basically, you can see 3 fans in here. Now, this is where the cooler will go, and it'll be linked to where the CPU is, which is this part right here. So the cooler will be behind these fans, basically. Yeah, so that's the idea. So we will rotate the I don't know if you saw it. I didn't. Let me show it to you. So this is the case again, and these are the fans that will hold where the radiator is going to be and link to where the CPU is. Yeah. And for some reason I cannot see the chat. So it says initializing unified chat. No. Come on. Okay, let me see if there's any questions up there. I have to do this. I have to like check from my phone. So sorry. This way, as I said before, and the two pretty much will run from the top to the side. Now these tubes will run from the top to the side, so the orientation of the block is correct. All we have to do is place it on top, but don't do it yet because we have to apply thermal paste. Now, applying thermal paste. That's another problematic and questionable, usually arguable way of doing it. I usually like to do it like a small grain of pea or beans, like a grain of bean in the middle, and that's it. So not much. Do not like get it over. Let me should do it on close up, like where you can see it. So that's it. Not more than that. See? That's more than enough. And that's thermal paste application done. Let's get the wires out of the way. Slot it in nicely. Make sure the logo is rotated nicely as well. we have to put the screws now. One. I'm just hand tightening them for now, before I use a screwdriver. And if you notice, I put them in a cross form, and that's how I usually screw them in as well, in a cross pattern. So make sure that the level of the cooler is exactly matching from all sides. Okay, now pretty much what you usually use all along the build is a Phillips head screwdriver. So I'll screw in a cross pattern, a couple of turns on each side, and then repeat. Again, don't over tighten it, you don't need to. The first time you feel resistance, this is where you need to stop. Okay, so almost there. One last bite. This is in. This is fully in. This is fully in. And this side is on. And that's it. You don't need more than that. So that's installed as well. Now we're gonna put the fans on the cooler itself. Remember, it's 3 fans. One. I'm gonna use the stock fans for now, just to look how it looks like. With RGB comes a lot of wires, like 2 wires for every fan. Now there's some manufacturers out there that they did some solution for this, like creating these fans that you can hook together in a way so only 1 wire goes out from the whole ensemble, if you want, from the 3 of them. All right. And we need these long screws for that. Let's refresh the feed again. All right, long screw. So we're 1 hour in, and we are yet to test posting this. I know it's taken a little bit of time. So how long does it take usually to build a PC? Well, if it's not on camera, not much, like 2 hours tops. Same here. First fan is in. Second fan is in. We will use the rest of the bolts to do the radiator. From the other side on the case. So this is the third fan in. Of course, I'm not gonna put it like that when I test the components if everything works, because it needs to get air through. So we'll put it maybe this way, like that, just to like make sure everything is working. Now, to make sure that everything is working, we need to like hook these fans, all three fans together into one header, and for that we need this wire. This wire has, as you can see, 3 PWM headers where the fan headers would go, and this side should bolt into the CPU cooling on the CPU cooling header on the motherboard. So basically, get this in, get that in, and lastly, third one in. Now, the CPU header is on top right here. It says CPU fan 1. That's where I'm gonna put it. On the motherboard. Next, you can, if you want, you can link the RGB for it. I'm gonna use the addressable RGB for it, and not the regular RGB. But it comes with two options. Now, what's the difference between them? Between addressable and non-addressable? One of them is 12 volts, which you can see. There's like 4 pins, like so. Or these are addressable as well. Addressable. So these are fully addressable. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, let's go. Let's link them all together. I like addressable way more than regular 12 volt. All these color, these beautiful colors that would go out with RGB. I know that there's people who hates RGB, doesn't even tolerate it. If you're an RGB hater, I understand you fully, but just a small information. If your PC doesn't have RGB, it's gonna turn itself off every 12 seconds. I'm also kidding, of course not. Yeah, but you need RGB. RGB for life. All right. So last is not this. No. So I linked the 3 fans RGB wires together, like in daisy chaining them. Last but not least is to put it with the block so they would have unified colors all along. Right. Now, what's next? The only thing that's next is to put a power supply on the side and a graphics card and test boot this thing. So, without further ado, let me show you the graphics card. What do you think we're gonna use? Do we use... Okay, let me see. Do we use a 1650 Super? Not. Don't worry, it's empty. Do we use an Aero 1660? No. Do we use a 1660 Super? No. Now, choice of GPU actually depends. 1660 Ti? No, that's still small. A 3060? You fancy a 3060? No. GPU usage is basically depends on what type of monitor you're gonna use. So this PC is going to operate on a 240 Hz monitor for gaming, and I didn't say what's its main purpose is going to be, not general esport. The only thing that this PC is going to do is Warzone. Simple. First person shooter, Warzone. Extremely overkill for it, but let's hope it does what's intended for it. 3070? Nope. I have a 3070 by the way, even the same model. Works pretty well. A 3080? Nope. Oh, we're still going up. Okay, now this one you should say yes, obviously. A 3090. No? Why? But why? That's a fantastic card. It's made for workstations and everything. It does have like 24 gigabytes of VRAMs. That's a lot. All right. Then, as someone predicted on the chat, that was Ayman, by the way, if you're watching. We're gonna use a 3080 Ti. That's a brand new card, by the way. It didn't come out like it came out like I don't know 6 months ago, 4 months ago. Thanks MSI. Anyway, I'm not sponsored by MSI, but if you're watching MSI, yeah, you should do something about that. Most of the things that were here were MSIs. Alright, opening up the box. You're greeted with this envelope with some stuff in it, which we don't care about, at least for now. Protective stuff. And here we go. Let's touch something with wood. Let's remove this. Pull it out from there. That's a beast of a card, by the way. It's similar in size to the... what you get also in here is a brace that you can use in case you're encountering some sagging. We will see if we're gonna use one. Basically, it's a 3-fan graphics card. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Similar in design, exactly similar in design to the 3080 that I have and the 3070 that I also use, which I'm using on this PC right now. But I like the general design. Comes with 3 display ports and one HDMI, as you can see. Look. All right. Okay, without further ado, how to install it on the motherboard? Simple. Just this is where the PCIe Express goes. Make sure you remove this plastic bit. Yeah, you still can hear me. All right. So put this on the side, on the extreme side. And it's simple by just slowly putting it in the socket, and you would hear that click noise. It's a 3 8-pin card, so it's a beast of a card. Alright, so this is how we're gonna put it in. Why is this not in? Wait a second. What? So that's fan 2. This is fan 1, right? That's fan 1. Fan 2. And this is fan 3. This is the cooling thermal. I was thinking that I didn't link one of the fans, but apparently I did, but it's just that the thermometer or the temperature gauge on the radiator needs to be also in. Now you can put that in the CPU optimal header on the motherboard. I'll do that. Or we can call it pump fan, it's called here. You can put it here. No problemo. So this will allow us to monitor what's going on with the PC. Now, with all that done, I'm not going to keep you waiting longer. We will continue by adding the power supply and boot testing this beast. Power supply. The power supply that we're going to use is another cool item from MSI as well. Let me show you. Here we go. That's it. It's the MAG 850 or the A850 GF from MSI again, and it's a fully modular power supply. Fully modular power supply has all the bells and whistles, and 80 plus 10-year warranty, 80 plus gold certified. So all the best pieces of conductors are in there, and wires and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's 80 plus gold, as you can see. Oh look, it's used in a MSI environment just like we're gonna do, and this is the modular part of it. So yeah, let's go back and open it up. Where is it? It's in here. Look at that. This is it. Here we go. Last piece of the puzzle, usually. And with that, you can test your PC if it works, if it posts. What you get in there is a bunch of manuals, the power supply itself, and a beautiful bag with MSI branded with all the modular wires that's inside. Okay, that's about it. Ah, it's a nice looking power supply. Look at that. This is from the back. and the modular bit. Here we go. Fan is usually mounted downwards in the case, so don't put it outwards unless the case has ventilation. And from the side, this is what you will be able to see. In our case, we might even see it upside down, but who cares? Yeah. Now, we need to link this, so some wires are required. Among these wires, we're not going to use this. We're going to use... okay, we need a 24-pin cable for the motherboard. That's the 24-pin cable. Ready. We need two CPU 8-pin cables. The ones that doesn't say PCIe on them. This looks to be a PCIe for me. Maybe. We will look. There's nothing written on them. Alright. That's another one. This one says PCIe, of course. So we need 3 of these. Do we need SATA ones? Yes, we do. Because we're using one SSD on the side. Does this says PCIe? Yeah, that's the second one, sorry. This one says PCIe on the side anywhere. Yep, that's the third one for the graphics card. Oh, it says CPU on this one. Look. How well you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. CPU, so we need this in here. A 4th PCIe? No, we don't need it. Molex? Nope, thank you. And this is the second CPU wire. Alright, here we go. Do you need all of these to start the PC up? Yes, in our situation, yes. We need the 24-pin. I don't know who's still following. Whoever's still watching after 1 hour and a half of fiddling around in... Great fan. I bet there's no girls in here, obviously. They would say, who is that loser still doing these things? Am I a loser? Yes, you are. Because these things entertain you. Alright, so 24-pin in, and from the other side, here we go. VGA CPU, motherboard CPU. Right, so we need this like so, and this like so. Alright, we need 2 CPUs, that's 24 in. Now, if there's people who would wish there's fast forward for this, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Come on, we need to see it rolling, starting. Alright, so that's the first CPU. You can use one if you want. It'll run on only one by heck, but heck, why not put it 2? Alright, second one. I hope we're not gonna troubleshoot anything. I hope everything works from the get-go, which I think it will. It always does. Yeah, among all the PCs that I've built here, only one ever did not post. One among plenty of PCs that I built. And that was because of bent pins on the motherboard, which was a used motherboard. First VGA cable. Second VGA cable. So that's what's nice about modular power supplies, that you can put as much wires that you need. No need to over. So VGA 2, here we go. And last but not least, so tell me in the chat, I'm gonna read all of them later on. Tell me if you enjoy building a PC, if you ever built a PC before. Do you enjoy it? Or is it tedious for you? You want someone else to do it for you, some loser who's in an office. Did I move you there? Alright, so I'm gonna wire it up. I'm putting the power supply somewhere where we can later on get it hooked. So first 24 pin is in, right? Second of all, that's CPU. Okay, his first wire is. All of this is just to test it, huh? Because it's not nice to put it in a case, then find out that there's something wrong. PCIe, and that's the second CPU, correct? All right, it's in. PCIe, I tend to like use single wire for every header. Anyway, we're not gonna use this because we're gonna use something really nice and cool with the power cables, and it's going to be something called Lee and Lee Streamer Plus, or Streamers Plus. Look at that. This. As I said before, there's not enough RGB all the way, so we're gonna use something like this. We'll light up the whole thing. Yeah. All right. So after this turns on, we're gonna take a break. Obviously, before we clean up the whole thing, we need to prepare the case. So we go back and preparing the case, but first we need to make sure everything's working and that the PC will post. Right now I'm putting all the 8 pins in for the graphics card. It's straightforward, you're not gonna miss them. Third and final. Here we go. It's tedious. It's even tedious when it's outside the case. Imagine trying to fiddle with this type of wires inside the case, which I most of the time do. It's tedious. Alright, everything is hooked up, basically. What we miss is a power cable. And for that, I've prepared one. And make sure it's on off at first. Power cable is in. There's no power button on this motherboard, so we will have to jump 2 pins, and that's the power pins. Now, I don't intend to tell people to do that. Most of the time it's either you get it right or wrong. So in our case, I know which pins they are. It's on the front panel, the ones on the right. But before we do that, so let's pray. We're gonna see light, we're gonna see fan turning. Here we go. Power on. Do we have any RGB turning on the motherboard or something? Make sure that everything's connected. This is connected. I have HDMI on, and you can see the screen. So, will it boot? Moment of truth. Yes, it did. Obviously it did. Okay, do we have... of course it'll restart itself twice, so don't worry. Let's see. I think you can still see the screen. No signal yet. Did I put it on HDMI 1 or on HDMI 2? It's still power cycling. That's normal. Don't like panic. It's power cycling. It's doing its power cycle. I think it was on HDMI 2. That's what happens when you have multi HDMI in. Still no signal. Come on, you can do it. The RGB on this motherboard is nice. Off and on again. Maybe second time the charm. I'm gonna kill myself if it is the HDMI cable. I just like use this HDMI cable. I'm not sure if it works or not. Let's use another HDMI cable just to be sure. I used to have one that I'm absolutely sure it works. Where the freaking hell it is? Okay, here we go. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Whoa. Alright. So, is it the HDMI wire? Because I'm absolutely sure it's the HDMI wire. As long as it did turn on. So people can see what I'm troubleshooting. Let's get back to you guys. I cannot see you right now. Yep. Yep. It's alive, it's alive. It's alive. Yeah, it is alive. Okay, a trustworthy HDMI cable instead of the old one, which I'm not sure if it works or not. Yeah, soon enough you'll find yourself covered with cables. What the heck? Come on. Come on, you boy. Yes. Alright. I'm gonna hug you guys, so social distancing. Oh my god. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm carrying you with me. Okay, first HDMI out. Second HDMI. You have to see the top of my bald head now. Okay. Put it in. That's what she said. The other way around. Wrong hole. Yeah. Now this went too awkward now. Alright. New HDMI in. It better post this time. Yeah, better turn on this time, right? Let's do it. Again. Come on. Now wait a second. Wait a second. Do we have a post? Do we have a post? No. Freaking hell. Now that's worrying. I'm gonna try a third HDMI cable, but I'm gonna move to DisplayPort cable. What if it was like having difficulties posting on via HDMI? That's another troubleshooting measure that we can take. I cannot see you right now, so don't worry, but you will have to see my bald top of my head again. Alright, alright, alright. Alright. Okay, let me give you some lights. More lights, please. Maybe the RGB. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. RGB will solve it, I'm sure. Alright. Now DisplayPort, that I'm sure it'll work. I moved you away. You'll be back in just a second. I'll put it in again. That's what she said. Do we have post? Let's turn it off and turn it back on again. Fully in. Everything in here is connected. Just double checking. Everything's connected. Everything's connected. Even here is connected. RAMs are in fine. It should work. We should be fine. would you look at that? Come on, post, baby. Come on. Ah, fan. Look at that. Still no post. Can't see anything. Another header, maybe. Ah, that's weird. All right. Troubleshooting level 2.0. We start by removing stuff. And the first thing that you should remove in this case, because everything's running, is the VGA, basically, or the graphics card. Let's see. Let's remove the graphics card and see if it posts. So, wire off. Turn it off. And then remove these wires. Release the pin. And here we go. Now, if we hook up the DisplayPort cable on the onboard graphics that's in the motherboard itself, let's see if this will post. If it will post this way, it should. All right, let's see. Did I sit on the freaking thing? All right, come on. Still nothing. Nothing at all. Ah, that's weird. So this is PC number 2 that does this? No. Everything looks good. Why? But why? Yeah, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Then why? Okay, so I have an idea, but first I need to see you again, guys. So let me put that cable back in. The idea is to try to flash its BIOS. Maybe it needs a BIOS flash. What do you think? Anyone has any idea? Oh, you cannot hear me anymore? Now you can. Anyone has any idea? All right. CPU looks fine. It's just all right. Let's download the BIOS for this one. And remember when we opened up the motherboard, it came in with a USB drive. that thing, yeah. Let's hope. Or what's this? That's not a USB thing. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Look at that. It's a dust cleaner. Or you put a makeup with it. Weird. I thought that they're gonna do it. So, even with that, we can do one thing. Let me show you. Alright, so what we can do is the following. On the MSI page, go to support. And then you go to download. Then you select the BIOS. It's the latest one is this one, AMI BIOS. How to flash the BIOS, YouTube, okay. So we will download that. Is it on? Yeah. All right. So all right. That's fantastic. Gonna put this on an external USB and flash the BIOS. For now, let's take a break. We highly need it. And we will be right back. Yep. So, attempt number 4. I didn't install the BIOS yet, so let's try. Alright. RAMs are on. Still adjusting. And here we go. Nothing wrong with it then. It did just post. Yeah. Now, let's try again, but with the graphics card on board. Come on, turn off. Okay, I'll turn it off from here. Alright. Let's put it back in. Okay, we need the third PCIe. And here we go. Now there's a light on the graphics card itself to tell you if the power is correct going into it. First wire in. Second wire in. And third wire in. Alright, all fastened in. Nice. Okay, there's a small light on it. If I turn on. One of the features that's missing on this motherboard, which I highly miss on higher end motherboards, is the what we call a diagnostic monitor, which actually tells you exactly why it's not boosting or something is not posting. Now let me remove this from here. Put it here. Yeah, it's green. The status on the motherboard says everything's green. Come on, boy. Give me a signal. No warning lights of any sorts. Come on. Not happy. Still not happy. still. Okay, for the sake of just testing, don't laugh at me, but for the sake of just testing, I'm gonna replace the graphics card with an even mightier one. Just a second. Now, this is the first ever graphics card I ever purchased personally. Now, this is an EVGA 970. Would you believe? Still rocking. Nothing wrong with it. I know. So, let's hope it doesn't post, because if it does, we have a problem. Okay, let's put a couple of cables in. Alright, first cable is in. Second PCIe cable. We just need 4 pins for this. Alright. And HDMI in. Give it power. Let's see. It seems I know. Right. That's why we usually test everything outside the case before doing anything else. Turns out that the graphics card is not running. I'm not gonna stop in here. I'm gonna do something else, but off cameras, of course. And that's putting the graphics card into a working PC, another working PC, and try, but another working PC with the same brand, and try. But that has to be done on the same PC that we're streaming from. So it's not gonna happen. In the meantime, it happens. That's not abnormal or anything. Is to have a faulty graphics card. 3080 Ti is a brand new card anyway, so, and it's under warranty, nothing to worry about. For the time being, if you followed along up until now, thank you for watching, because you've been a champion, enduring all of what I've been trying to do. At least we ended up with a working PC, basically. Look, yeah, it's just a matter of like disconnecting everything, getting 100% sure of the state of the graphics card, and then maybe in a separate video, I think maybe tomorrow night, if we have electricity, of course, I'll put it together in a case and I'll show you the final result, especially if we have a verdict when it comes to the GPU and what we should be doing. So, without further ado, thank you a lot for watching, if you're still there, and see you next time.